Welcome back to the Nerdrotic Nooner. My name is Gary Beekler, and I come to you from nerdrotic.com, and I am live in San Francisco. And here we are talking about Game of Thrones. I'm sure that's going to be the hot topic for this afternoon. Welcome, everybody in the chat. Of course, it's been kind of a big week. We had an Orville finale. Cobra Kai came out. And, Avengers Endgame. But it seems like, at least here anyway, Game of Thrones kind of took over the discussion, especially after just, what a terrible episode. What a long night of disappointment. Hail, Mage Grey Wolf, Nikki Glodden, Entropy Generator, Stan Lee, JP, Tope Daddy, Tecator, Yoda Yo, Rad Willie 1, Razvan. Oh man, hi Razvan. I'll just say that. What's up, Mikey? Nicholas Horton, Dr. Meatball, Mark Lazerth, and his wrench. You guys were busy last night. Whoa, they were busy last night. Philip A. Dimmick, Matthew Matson, my good friend. Oh, by the way, hang on. Okay, there we go. Goldfinger, A Man Is No One, Herrick Avenger 99, Robert the Bruce. Hey, what's up? We got some royalty here. Functional, Mary Freeman, The Walking Dude. Sean, how are you? Chuck Zilla is in the house. Andrew Griffiths. Okay. I want to get right to it. I was going to do a shorter video on this. I've still got a pretty good rant pent up in me. I probably will. I'll probably after I do this live stream. Now my voice is completely shot. I am completely shot. I've done hey, I know first world problems. I did hours and hours of live streaming in the last 5 days. And it was great. It was all great. But I'm not done. We could have talked about Game of Thrones last night for 4 hours. Easy. We had 2,200 people in the live stream. That was great. But it was my most disliked video. It still got more likes and dislikes, and that's great. Thanks for backing me up. And if you can, please like this one and give that one a like if you like. But it's doing pretty well. And Doomcock was on it. He was good and pissed off. I was good and pissed off. And we have very good reason. And of course, Rianne Johnson chimed in with a tweet that I will show later. The Battle of Wokefell. Yeah, Wokefell. Yes, exactly. So I want to kind of get behind the reasoning of why they made the decision they made. Now, before I get started, spoilers. There will be spoilers for Game of Thrones. I'm sure there's going to be Avengers Endgame spoilers in here, Orville spoilers. It's going to be unavoidable. This is a kind of a place to come and rant and vent about the decade wasted watching Game of Thrones. And I would like to first off apologize to every single person I have talked into getting them into this show. I let you down. I failed you. And it's my fault for trusting HBO, Dan and Dave, George R. R. Martin, everybody involved in this show. I thought it was going to go somewhere. We still have 3 episodes left. So a little bit from my video. Remember in Lord of the Rings when Sauron died in the 2 towers and they ended up fighting the Proud Feet or the Proud Foots from the Shire? Remember in the Star Wars trilogy when Darth Vader and the Emperor were killed in Empire Strikes Back and they fought Jabba the Hutt? Yeah. Basically, and I tweeted this today, it's like the battle of good and evil here on Earth has ended and we defeated Lucifer, but humanity's expectations were subverted. The true villain was a Zinfandel swilling Marin soccer mom, because that's all Cersei really is. She's just a really vengeful soccer mom. And that's our big villain. And we're supposed to feel we're supposed to feel a threat to Jon and Daenerys and the 2 dragons, even if they have 50 people left. They have Brienne still. They still have Tormund, and I'm glad Tormund's still alive. He's my favorite character, but he kind of should have died because the army of the dead, which had numbers in the hundreds of thousands, should have been and is more intimidating, more scary, more threatful than the Golden Company, who show normies, sorry, who don't read the books, have no idea who the Golden Company is, what they're about. The reason George R. Martin even introduced them in the books, and Dan and Dave inserted them in the show without giving any background on them. And the fact that the Golden Company would take up arms against Targaryens is kind of ridiculous. It could happen, but it's kind of ridiculous because they were started by the Blackfires, which are Targaryen bastards. Now, they had a beef with Targaryens too, but the beef they had with those Targaryens are all dead. So the Golden Company is just there to bolster Cersei, and she's got the mountain. Sure. Okay. You put 100 guys on the mountain and he's probably going to die. You pepper him with a bunch of arrows. You set him on fire. Drogon could just eat him. That would be it. So yeah, Cersei's not a threat. Cersei's power lies in her armies and the people believing it, as Varys said. The Night King had actual power. He had a dragon. He could raise the dead. He could change the weather. He was a necromancer, sorcerer that we knew dick about because they didn't give any background. Now, in the books, there's no Night King. There might be eventually, but there's talk of a Night's King who died thousands of years ago, but there is no talk of a Night King. So, George R. Martin put this in his 60 Minutes interview. Go check it out with Anderson Cooper. And Anderson Cooper tries to get him to say, yeah, the show is definitely going to end like the book. And George R. Martin just flip-flops on that. But his analogy is, well, they've got the ideas right. They've got the beats right, but it's kind of like Spider-Man. So he basically said the Game of Thrones show is adapting the books, kind of like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man and Tom Holland's Spider-Man and Mark Webb's Spider-Man adapted the comics, which is not at all. A great example is Gwen Stacy's death. Gwen Stacy's death was impactful in the comics because we had known the people who were reading Spider-Man at the time had lived with Gwen Stacy, had been reading Gwen Stacy for years, have been reading Harry Osborn for years. So that was part of their life. They were intimately involved in these characters. So the payoff at the end had the emotional impact because you had spent a lot of time on it. So the point being, if say Arya dispatching the Night King, I don't particularly have a problem with. It was just how they did it and when they did it. It just doesn't work in the show. But if they do that in the books and they fully explain her journey, because she's not even out of Bravos yet, then it makes sense. So basically they got the ending of everything, but they don't know what built up to it. And it would be like George Lucas taking off of Star Wars and and somebody else taking over and going, okay, I'm not going to tell you anything else. But at the end, Darth Vader turns on the Emperor and saves Luke. And then they write a story without even knowing like Luke or Darth is Luke's father. And they just leave that out. And they have a bunch of current year politics in it. And then at the last minute, Darth Vader just kills the Emperor for no reason. That's basically what this adaptation was. It certainly could have worked if they had spent more time on the series. George himself said they probably needed 5 more seasons, and they did. And they rushed it at the end. And the most disappointing thing of all is HBO and Dan and Dave have all pretty much admitted at this point that they were getting tired. It was getting too expensive. And I don't know how much the public is going to put up with this, and you break trust with the public, and it shows. I'll give you an example: the Sci-Fi Network, which didn't get a lot of people watching it anyway, but the Sci-Fi Network cut off a bunch of shows people love. Dark Matter, for one, Farscape back in the day, and of course The Expanse. If you've noticed their ratings lately, nobody really watches it anymore. Now, there's a lot of reasons for that, but one of the main ones is broken trust with the fans. So you know what I've been watching all morning when I made 2 videos. I just put one out. Please check it out and like it. I was at the gym I was on the treadmill, and because I wanted to punish myself some more, I watched Collider's review of Game of Thrones, and it was funny. They of course loved it, and somewhere in there they started talking about expectations. They talk about fan expectations and how it's unrealistic. I just want to tell anybody who wants to start blaming this on the fans, F you, go to hell. And, I hopefully someday you will have enough self-awareness to realize Collider exists on fan theories. Every freaking YouTube channel exists on fan theories. That's why we like this stuff. And one of the main hosts said that the reason people get upset if their theories are wrong is because they need some kind of personal validity. No, that's just part of the fun of the show. You have theories, you trade them with your friends. Nobody's personally crushed if their theory doesn't come out. I'm not, and none of you are. We just have theories. But this wasn't about theories. This was about an expectation that the show definitively set up. They were in the night. The others, the White Walkers, were in the very first scene. They were set up as the big bad, and then 2019 happened, and apparently Dan and Dave had the Arya thing 3 years ago. Well, you know what? 3 years ago was the beginning of season 6. So it wasn't that long ago. Remember, we had 2 years between 7 and 8, season 7 and 8. So it wasn't that long ago. So it seems like, current politics 3 years ago. My guess what year was 3 years ago? 2016. Well, Hollywood is still spurging out about the year 2016 a bit, wouldn't you say? And this is a result of that. So yes, current year politics encroached on Game of Thrones, which used to be above this, and it is now definitively ruining pretty much everything. Hopefully this cycles through. I'm sure Dan and Dave are surprised at the reaction they're getting. Now, I went on Free Folk, and I got to admit, I was a little disappointed in the Free Folk. They're still backing the show. I thought they were better than that, but maybe not. I saw a couple of memes there saying, hey, we should just be grateful for what we got. No, hell no. I'm pissed. I believed in this show. I feel like an idiot. And it's, you know what? I blame myself ultimately for trusting these guys to write competently and try to put story above all else. And I mean everything else. And they did not do that. Again, to refer to the Preston Jacobs podcast from last week, definitely check it out. God, forgive if the guy watches, I forgot your name, forgive me. But he brought up a great point that Game of Thrones is made on viewocracy now. And it looked like they were just going off marketing data, like, hey, people like the she-bear, so we're going to put her in more, instead, going off of probably parrot analytics, going off of hashtags. I don't know, but it definitely took priority over storytelling. Besides the fact that, let's just talk about the quality of the episode. You couldn't see anything. It is shot so dark, and that was happening prior to this episode. Everything shot in Winterfell is just the blacks are crushed. You can't see anything. Everybody having plot armor. I mean, really no big surprising deaths, which is fine. But by the end of the show, you're going to go, so Tormund, Brienne, Jaime, Sansa, Tyrion, Danny, John, and whoever else, and I bet you most of the people die by the end, and they're all going to be killed at the hands of Cersei. So they survived an army of the dead, but got killed by a soccer mom. I am pretty damn sure. The only way I think this may go down like this in the books is if you equate it to the Battle of the Shire in Lord of the Rings, which actually works in the book, but it would be terrible. So you want to know why? For those of you who don't know, in Lord of the Rings, in the books, there's another battle after they defeat Sauron. They fight Saruman in the Shire. And the reason they didn't put it in the movies, because it just wouldn't have worked. But if you it kind of works in the books. So if you do something like defeat the Night King and then you deal with Cersei later, that would certainly work in a long format. It wouldn't be my favorite, but I would admit it would work in the books, but it definitely doesn't work in television at all. Didn't have enough time. They didn't take enough time, but wow, thank God we got enough time for Arya side boob. Shoo! I didn't need a Night King background. Not at all. He just wanted an endless night. Oh, Bran, Bran was the most important person in the story. Remember poor Jojen Reed? Poor Jojen Reed. Jojen Reed and Hodor must be pissed. So they saved this kid to warg into a couple of birds and fly around. He didn't warg into a dragon. He's like a super warg too. He could have warged into multiple beasts. He could have gotten all the beasts of the forest to come out and help fight. Nah. Jon and Daenerys watching the Dothraki just get annihilated. If they would have left earlier, they wouldn't have had the Night King throwing up all the snow at them, and they probably could have taken out a lot of the dead. But no, they just waited around. Melisandre traveled all that way to light somebody's cigarette and give a pep talk. Okay. It was just crap storytelling. These guys do not know what to do. Star Wars, I feel terrible for Star Wars fans right now. Star Wars fans, I love you. I do. Great fandom. I love all fandoms. And you are treated like crap all the time. And these guys are now with Rian Johnson. Wow. Isn't that a trifecta of subverted expectations? Can't wait to see what happens there. Star Wars is screwed. Okay, I'm going to get to the chat. That was the little opening monologue there. There's a lot more to be said about that. I barely covered how freaking terrible that was. Peter Davison, thank you for the Australian $5. Is Token going GoT pleased? Tolkien is very pleased. Tolkien is smoking his pipe at the in the Undying Lands, the Grey Havens, hanging out with the elves and chuckling, going, old George R. R. Martin thought he was going to outright me. And they said they based last night's episode on the Two Towers. In my video, I'm going to show you a couple screenshots. A true screenshot from Game of Thrones. They'll probably freaking copyright strike me for it, but I'll risk it because I'll win. And I'll show you a night scene from Two Towers and to a night scene from last night. One was from damn near, okay, Two Towers came out, what, 2001, 2000? So we're talking almost 20 years ago. The effects were better. It was shot better. Everything was better. Plus, it had King Theoden. Okay, I'm a huge King Theoden fan. He gave the best speeches in the Two Towers. How has it come to this? How has it come to this? Thank you, Peter Davison. Peter Davison again for the Australian $2. Was Smaug a she? Smaug was definitely a guy. I don't know if dragons can change sexes in Lord of the Rings. We never got that much. Well, it might be in the Silmarillion. I have no idea though. I would assume so. I've heard that in other fantasy tales that dragons can change sexes. Wave Pool for $1.99. Batman Begins. Loves of dark jump cuts. Lots of it was very bad. Okay, so Wave Pool, I like Batman Begins, but man, the shaky cam in that is just too much for me. That's why I don't really watch it too much. I'm not that adverse to shaky cam, but it was bad. It was pretty bad this episode. But I still like The Dark Knight. I do. Or Batman Begins. Sorry. The King of Scotland, $5. Hail to the King. It's like watching A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. Then, during Return of the Jedi, Lando sneaks into the Emperor's throne room and kills Vader while Luke's on Endor. Exactly. Oh my God. So Jon running to Bran and being kept there by a dragon. So let's have some comparisons, shall we? In Avengers Endgame, and this is just going to go off the top of my head, despite Tony and Steve Rogers, we had a fat, Big Lebowski broken Thor. We had a peacenik Hulk. We had a Spider-Man in the fetal position, cradling the Infinity Gauntlet like a teddy bear. But we had all the women gathering around and fighting. Oh, and we had Peter Quill getting kicked in the balls twice. In Game of Thrones, we had a very vivid, like it was the one thing we can see is Arya fearlessly kicking ass. Now there was a scene where she was a little scared and running around in the hallways of Winterfell. That I actually liked. They should have done, and I'll get to what they could have done better. I will get to how they could have fixed this. Then we had the Hound cowering again. Okay, the Hound was supposed to have gotten over this. His journey was supposed to be, his whole thing was supposed to, they regressed the Hound, which was terrible. Freaking terrible. Yeah, it just, God damn it. And then the whole reason, it's hard not to explain. So if the normies out there are going to have no idea what I'm talking about, but you guys do. You guys know what's going on here. You guys know what's behind some of the decision making they did. It was actually coming through in Game of Thrones 2 years ago when they decided to do the all-female war meeting in the beginning of season 6 with the Sand Snakes and Yara and and where was Yara, by the way? She'll probably pop in later. And it doesn't really matter, but you could just tell it was a girl power episode. That was it. I mean, just to cut to the chase there. Yeah. And then that's exactly what it was like, King of Scotland. It was subverted expectations, which is just a term for I am not creative enough to write a decent ending that's satisfying. Nobody asks for all of their expectations to be met. They ask to have a satisfying ending. Sometimes satisfying endings can, you lose some characters you like and everything, but it still feels like, man, you want people to watch your stuff again. In this day and age, they didn't used to make movies like that. You would watch a movie once and that was it. Maybe you go twice. But now that has to be in mind. You have to think about repeated views. Well, you just killed that, in my opinion. There's a lot of people still hanging on. There's a lot of emotional involvement in the show, and I totally understand that. But like I say, with a lot of things, talk to me in a couple of years. There was remember when Lost ended. And I, while I didn't watch it, I was working I owned a comic shop and I heard people talking about it. And I saw the same, you're going to see the grieving process go through the 5 stages of grieving. So you see people going, I think it was pretty good. I was okay with it. And there was people who were pissed off immediately, kind of like with the Sopranos ending. But as time went on, less and less people liked Lost. Stunned Soul, $2. Wow, nothing is sacred. I fear for the Expanse. I kind of do. At this point, I'm going to go in. I'm not going to think the Expanse is immune to this. I don't think anything is now. I mean, Game of Thrones got me so sideways. It made me completely forget about the Watchmen trailer that got me all sideways. Oh, Shane Carroll May, $2. Last night was such a letdown, a complete failure. Exactly, Shane. It was terrible. And I'm kind of stunned as many people liked it as they did. I mean, I fully expect certain people to like it in certain channels because certain channels have based their entire existence on this show. Don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. You know what I'm saying? But, I understand why Charlie likes it, he does other things too. So he's not going to live or die by Game of Thrones, at all. But I don't know. I gotta say, the only person who's been out front, like vocally on this on YouTube has been Preston Jacobs for quite some time now. Irate Pirate, £5. Once you divert from the books, you always go, it's always going to be in shit. And the longer that the divergence lasts, in more difficult it'll be to converge again. Exactly. Yep. And what they did, here's the biggest mistake they made, is they decided to hang with George probably too long. And they probably should have had in the show Danny leaving Marine earlier, so they could have set up a lot of things more. That's their decision. They They probably listen. They have more inside knowledge than any of us on how far George is on the book. They've heard the ending. I don't know. $2, but a retracted message. Sorry, that was retracted. That was not me. That might have been YouTube. Sorry about that. Jake Backend for $5. I don't understand setting up a confrontation between Jon and the Night King and Hardhome just to have him do nothing except scream at a dragon. I don't either. They changed their path. It is clear. After season, they even said that we got the Arya thing 3 years ago. Okay, well, that was after Hardhome. So they changed their path. And honestly, I think that's what George is doing with the book. I honestly think it's 2016 and the politics of today's age that got him. He's probably in there rewriting half of his book right now. Don't think the books are immune. George was really on the forefront of the sad puppy movement. So if you are not aware of what the sad puppy movement, think of what's going on in Hollywood and television right now. Think about comic, SJW Marvel and stuff. That's kind of the sci-fi book realm of what was going on there. It's called look into it. It's called Sad Puppies. It's the Gamergate of science fiction books. Mage Grey Wolf, $2. Winter is never mind. Winter didn't come. Winter prematurely ejaculated. Yeah. Pat High, Canadian $5. The Night King and Bran could have had a psychic mind battle where Bran could have learned about the Night King, explaining his motives and keeping Bran useless. Right? Okay, so if anybody has watched the show Legion, there's a couple of very cool psychic mind battles. And they could have done something like that, but nope, they don't do flashbacks or anything like that. Frozen Owl, $2. Can Arya only use the faces of people she kills? Well, they never really truly set that up in the show. So I can't answer that. Basically Arya can use whatever face she wants, living or dead, in this show because she's freaking omnipotent Superman, Batman, Wolverine. Stunned Soul, $2. Obviously, Bran is a stoner and just pretends to worry. All those scenes we don't see him. He's just sitting in a room alone. He's just puffing away. He's got his little he's got his werewood water bong. Yeah, I bet you. You know what? I wonder if when you smoke the leaves of a werewood tree, you probably trip balls. Peter Davison, Australian $5. Smog slept under a blanket of gold, hence female dragon. Maybe with a very deep voice. Ald Baden for $1.99. Why fight the whites? Take out the White Walkers. It was a boss battle. That was so lame. That was so freaking lame. For one, the generals didn't even fight. If you were the Night King, you didn't need to be there. Let's think about this. They have set up the others and the Night King for a decade. They didn't even they only took one castle. You can't really count the Night's Watch because there was like 30 of them left. All right. So they took down the wall and they took Castle Black with like 30 people. Oh no, they ended up getting away. And then they killed what was left of the Umber clan, which was nothing because Jon pretty much took them out. And they didn't even get past Winterfell. Wow. When I say it out loud like that, it's ridiculous. If I showed you, I've got it on my ceiling right now. I've got a map of Westeros right above my head. Here, I'll show you a map of Westeros. Let's go. Let's see how far the Night King got. Here we go. Oh, this is going to be funny. You're going to laugh. Okay, folks. Sharing the screen. And I'll be right back with you. Here we go. All right. Hopefully you can see my my cursor. I'm going to blow this up because I can't see it. All right. I need a bigger, better picture of Westeros. So essentially, you see my cursor? This is about how far the Night King got. Right here. Yeah, he kind of sucks. He didn't even make it like a fifth of the way through Westeros. So real quick before I get back to the chat, a quick way you could have made this better. You dealt. I would have focused more on Cersei last season, and you deal with the Cersei stuff. She's. I mean, she did her thing. She blew up the Sept of Baelor. She became queen. She politicked her way up, and what you could have done instead is have Jon and Daenerys battling them and have that battle go a lot not as easy as Jon and Daenerys thought. Actually, maybe even have Jon and Daenerys like have a three-way battle at some point. And you have everybody depleting each other's forces. Then the Night King comes down and all hell breaks loose. And you spend the last you spend out of the last 3 episodes, you spend 2 of them with battle, not just 1, 2, and you do it throughout the realm. You have every castle involved. Like, dude, the Reeds never came. The freaking Reeds never popped up again, which is so lame. I mean, everything. The more I think about the lamer it gets. But you have the entire realm involved. You have like whites fighting in Dorne. I mean, you just like everything. It is clear the show became too big for HBO. They couldn't afford this stuff. This used to be a big sprawling show and they spent less money on it. What, you know, the fact of the matter is when you get these shows that go on longer to retain the talent, it gets more expensive to keep the same people involved, right? So it costs more money. The thing is, HBO, which is now owned by AT&T, AT&T has more money than God. They could have invested more, and we could have gotten. Honestly, now that I think about it, there was they proposed, or at least the rumor was out there, was to finish this off in the movie theater and have like, you know, a couple of movies, and maybe that would have been better. I don't know, but this wasn't. This clearly wasn't for their big feature-length show. This was shot like crap. It was very small. It was very contained. That big promise of having zombie giants taking on dragons. Well, we saw one zombie giant and he fought a 16-year-old girl. And oh, Slay Queen, she stabbed him in the eye. So yeah, we got that, but we got no background on the Night King. Yeah. Freaking lame. So yeah, I mean, lame. The Night King was never explained, and he was just there to shut out the lights. God. All right, let me get back to this. I mean, I'm just trying to get my head around how people could not be disappointed, how people could be okay with this. The reason Game of Thrones was different was the politicking, yes, but it was always with the promise this is still a fantasy. I mean, if you wanted to just be a politicking show, why bring in the White Walkers at all? You could have had a pretty entertaining show with politics and stuff in it without them. I mean, honestly, there's supposed to be a connection between the dragons and the others and the rise of magic again, and they just never talked about it. So did the Lord of Fire bring Jon back to yell? Jake Backend, yes. Yeah. I mean, I honestly don't know. It was just so they can have a shocking ending and get everybody talking about it in a whole entire off season, which people were talking about. Is Jon Snow going to come back? And there was Kit Harington hair watch. And honestly, they should have left him dead. They should have left him freaking dead because, yeah, he got everybody together. So for what? So he can yell at a dragon. Oh boy. Thomas Coulter, $2. I preferred to see Arya and Jon take on the Night King together. Yeah, it would have been nice to see the Starks fight together. It'd have been nice if Arya could have snuck up on him a little sooner for poor Theon. It'd have been nice if Bran would have communicated that. So Bran obviously knew what was going to happen because he handed the knife to Arya. Like, it's so dumb. Yeah. Rick Moranis, what's up? $5. Game of Thrones has turned into Slay Queen. Yep, exactly. As a matter of fact, I saw a bunch of those tweets today. I did. Nathan O'Brien, $1.99. Will Bronn kill a Lannister Tyrion? You know what the answer to that, Nathan, is? I don't care. No, probably not. I do know, well, for a fact, one person who dies at the end, but I won't spoil it here. Cleve Bourbon for $2. Better than any 80s fantasy. Gary Kroll, anyone? Kroll's good. Kroll's great. But what's better than any 80s fantasy? Game of Thrones? Certainly not. No, Excalibur is a better movie than Game of Thrones. But Excalibur is brilliant. Kroll is really good. I love Kroll. Jack Random, $5. GoT is like having Daniel LaRusso go through entire Karate Kid movie to fight different kid instead of Johnny at the end. Makes no sense. This happened in another show this year that nobody watched, but I covered on this channel and completely spurred out about for about 2 months. Iron Fist season 2. Pretty much plot-wise, the same damn thing happens. So Danny Rand, who is the Iron Fist, who from a child was trained, turns out at the end of season 2, he was just there to carry the power to Colleen Wing. Slay Queen. Steve F, $5. GoT has turned into a season of last season of Lost. Yep, it has. I am very encouraged to see more and more people thinking that, because it just makes me wonder. Just when I thought humanity was turning around, I don't know if you guys heard the story, but I was in Avengers Endgame for my second viewing. I watched it twice in one day last Thursday, and they showed the Rise of Skywalker trailer. Now, to give you a context of what the audience was like, the audience cheered pretty much throughout the whole movie, except for Captain Marvel, but they cheered like hell for the Pokemon movie. Okay, which looks looks all right. Whatever, for a Pokemon movie, it looks kind of fun. Not into it, but that's cool. Rise of Skywalker trailer comes up and boos and hisses, and I'm like, oh no, did we get a win on this one? Did we get a win? Well, I mean, time will tell, but I got a bad feeling about this. But it might be a good feeling that it's a bad feeling. The Walking Dude, $5. What gets me is the fall off of the writing. Early scenes used to be a master class of dialogue, character, and backstory. Now we get dickless jokes. Sad. Yeah. You can you can really tell what's Dan and Dave's and what's George's. It's obvious within the show, and it's very few things have been George's for quite some time now. But Dan and Dave are like frat boys adapting a fantasy novel. They used to be good at it. They used to pay attention, but when the show hit the stratosphere, they felt like they didn't need George anymore, or maybe they got mad at George for not finishing the book. I don't really care at this point. I even feel like this might have been an HBO decision, and for HBO to get cheap. I wonder if the sale to AT&T played into this, because they were in transition while they were filming this. Again, I don't care. You got to follow through with the fans, and now your legacy is not tarnished. It's broken. It's broken. You just lost massive Blu-ray sales, streaming sales, toy sales, merchandise sales. And this effing prequel, I could care less. Your big bad was an ice cube, and Arya was the ice pick. That was it. The Big Red Bear, Canadian $10. GoT is trash now. I thought so for several seasons. It actually killed me on the inside when they didn't introduce young Griff, and it spoiled the books for me too. They really ruined everything for me. Yeah, that's the thing, is now the books are spoiled, and not even for a good reason. So yeah, I think Kroll is good. Not Beastmaster 2, no. I mean, Kroll's fun movie. It's not a masterpiece but no, it's fun. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Tamarocks. A way to do this better, Lady Stoneheart and all the other parts they skipped for an additional 3 to 4 seasons, in my opinion. Yes. Here's my theory. Those crappy theories that stupid fans have, you stupid fans with your stupid theories. Fucking Collider. I might make a video on that. Yeah, you know what, man? It's just like I have time to focus on stuff like that, and I'm just thinking about what I watched on Collider and how much it really kind of ticked me off. And it's just more of the pastime of crapping on fans. I think we need to bite back on that a little harder, to be honest with you. Or maybe I do. I'll use I statements. Okay, Tamarocks. Let me get one more super chat, and I will agree with you, and I'll tell you how my theory on Jon Snow and Lady Stoneheart. Rad Willie 1, $2. Hey, I had this weird dream where Arya kills the Night King. Go back to sleep. Go back to sleep. Yeah, I woke up. You generally don't wake up in a bad mood. I woke up in a freaking surly ass mood till I had my coffee. All right. So Lady Stoneheart, of course, is Catelyn Stark. Catelyn Stark, who always treated Jon Snow like utter crap. So George R. Martin subverts expectations, but in a very good way. So he's been setting up the whole Melisandre being at the wall, and when Jon gets killed, everybody thinks Melisandre is going to be the one to bring him back. They assume that because Thoros of Myr, who was a red priest, brought Beric Dondarrion back. So they assume Melisandre can do the same thing. Melisandre is not really good at her job. She outwardly thinks she is, but she misinterprets the flames all the time in the books. So they specifically show a big long story in the books where she completely gets it wrong again. So the Jon thing happens, and we don't know what happens after that in the books. But they really, George also really sets up these things called the ice cells. So the ice cells are they're freaking holes in the wall, and they're cells, and they stick you in there, and you freeze your ass off. They also keep all their meat there. They're basically freezers. So my guess is Jon croaks. They stick his body in an ice cell for whatever reason. And somehow Lady Stoneheart is probably involved in bringing Jon back. But Jon doesn't come back, Jon, in a way, because what they're really going to get into, because it's George who said this and not really Dan and Dave, is he's basically a white hang on a second. So he's basically a fire white. And that's one of my theories. It could be, fan fiction, whatever, but Tech Guy, $2. Gary, I got to say one thing. Lame. It was lame. Lame of Thrones. Jack Random, $2. Hope George R.R. Martin is angry and finally finishes it. He's probably chuckling a little bit. Outwardly, he will completely back down on Dave. Listen, it's his meal ticket. But is anybody excited about the prequel anymore? We're going to find out the backstory of the big bad Night King, or maybe they won't even focus on that. My guess is because when they were talking about the prequel to Game of Thrones, they said it's the history of Game of Thrones, but it's not the history you know. In other words, it'll have I promise you it'll have a female lead. It'll probably show the rise of the Lannisters, And yeah. Seagull Gather, 5 pounds. Seagulls Gather, sorry, 5 pounds. Hey, Gary, at least you're brighter than Game of Thrones. Any chance of shameless plug for my channel? It's all book reviews, lots of sci-fi and fantasy. Yeah, what's your channel? Is your channel Seagulls Gather? Check out Seagulls Gather. And what do you review? Books and sci-fi stuff? Yeah, totally. Plug away. It's all good. Check it out. If one of my kindly mods can put the link in the chat, that'd be great. Mark Alcatraz. Oh, I'm close to Alcatraz. $2. So what did those spiral symbols mean? Dan and Dave are lazy. The spiral symbols were just spiral symbols. They were supposed to be symbology of the children of the forest. And according to Dan and Dave, who did not convey this inside the show, which means it's a narrative complete failure, because if you have to explain something outside of your work, you failed at writing. And he burned these symbols for blasphemy. And the problem is the symbols weren't the same throughout the episodes. They changed. And because they're lazy. They got lazy. Danny will off Jon because she don't need a man. Oh yeah, Jon's not sitting on a throne. Hell no. Jon is not sitting on a throne. He's got a penis. There's no way he's sitting on a throne. Irate Pirate. What's the Iron Fist show about? It's not, if not Iron Fist. That's a very good question. It was about Colleen Wing and Iron Fist being basically he was a courier for the Iron Fist power. What's up, Brian Smart? Has a history of starting a project, then dropping the ball. George R. R. Martin has a history of starting a project, then dropping the ball. Wild Cards, after 5 years, he passed it off. Then 23 years later, wrote it again. Night Flyers had to be finished by Lysa Tuttle. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm going to call him out right now. The guy has self-disciplinary issues. I'll just say that. Tons of talent. And you know what? He's probably better suited just writing scripts and stuff. Yeah. Somebody's going to have to finish Game of Thrones. I don't know if they could, though. But George has already set up. Let's see if I can find the article right now. He's already setting everybody up. He basically said he wasn't going to finish. George R. Martin. And he invoked Tolkien. Here it is. I will read this to you. I'm sure some of you saw this. It is from actually 1 year ago, day after tomorrow. George R. R. Martin answers George R. R. Martin will never finish A Song of Ice and Fire complaints. He's unafraid to leave A Dream of Spring incomplete. George R. R. Martin is simply aware of how Game of Thrones fans bemoan his slow writing pace. He's never contemplated he's even contemplated the very scenario so many of them worry about. What happens if George R. R. Martin dies before finishing The Winds of Winter or its follow-up, A Dream of Spring? Responding to the commenters who somehow feel comfortable openly speculating about his death, Martin laid out his the piece he made with the possibility of an unfinished Song of Ice and Fire. In the discussion about the Silmarillion, J.R.R. Tolkien's posthumous prehistory of Middle Earth, Martin defended his upcoming history of the Targaryens, Fire and Blood, pushing back against the idea that A Song of Ice and Fire will only continue to be loved if completed. You call and it won't, by the way. You call Lord of the Rings the main story, but if you had asked Tolkien, he would have said the Silmarillion was the main story, his life's work, yet he was never able to complete it during his lifetime. Not because he didn't care, however, Martin wrote. Oh boy. Okay, here we go. Just for the sake of argument, let me point out that many people invest their time into works without endings. F. Scott Fitzgerald never finished The Last Tycoon. Charles Dickens never finished Edward Drood. Merv Peake never finished Titus Alone. Yet those works are still read. If Martin, age 69, never finishes A Song of Ice and Fire, it won't erase HBO's Game of Thrones. Life comes at you fast, doesn't it? Or the pleasure to be found in the 6 novels already released. Okay, we're not counting. See, this is like some double speak here, and I'll break this bullshit down for you. But Martin emphasized that he has no desire to leave behind an incomplete work. I do intend to finish A Song of Ice and Fire, of course. But doubtless Peake, Dickens, Fitzgerald, and Tolkien would have said the same. It was far from the only comment Martin responded to under his blog post announcing the release date of Ice and Fire. Seemingly up for much of the night, Martin will also discuss HBO's Game of Thrones spinoffs, the Song of Ice and Fire series, Cap, A Dream of Spring, and even the 1985 Mazda RX-7 he drives. We did not need anything else than Winds of Winter and The Last Book, one commenter wrote. All fucking spinoffs and histories are other money-making stuff that could have waited. Martin kept his head, responding, I am not sure HBO would agree that the spinoffs, I prefer term successor shows myself, could have waited. With Game of Thrones set to end in 2019, they put 5 of them in the works. That's no longer true. So that they have the show and more than one to take up the mantle of 2020. The successor shows were going to happen regardless. I prefer that they happen with my participation and guidance rather than without it. Do I ever get frustrated at all the criticism? Certainly, though I do more inclined to say annoyed and pissed off rather than frustrated, Martin said. The frustrations I feel are aimed mostly at myself and that stubborn, contrary, bulky muse of mine. Replying late into the night on April 30th and early in the morning on May 1st, Martin riffed on everything from his Duck and Egg novella 8 years ago, really damn, to the possibility of bringing in Stephen King to tag Ting Wins a Winner. I envy his productivity and I love his books, but we are very different people, and could never work the way he does. Martin also answers specific questions about A Song of Ice and Fire and sometimes refused to answer. Responding to commenters asking the name of a city just east of Volantis, Martin responded cryptically, all cities have names. Asked about the reason behind the Winds of Winter delays, Martin says, I've done some writing, yes, but there has been distractions as well. Well, like staying up till 3 a.m, dicking around on your blog, going to every convention, known to man. Yeah. And no, it doesn't sound as if some of his Winds of Winter material will be held back for A Dream of Spring. I have not started working on A Dream of Spring, Martin wrote. And you guys do know, I'm going to insert here that a bunch of chapters were taken out of A Dance with Dragons, like the battles, and he saved them for Winds of Winter. So he already had a bunch of chapters written for that book already. And if you do remember that A Feast of Crows and Dance of Dragons were originally one book, and all he had to do was edit the second book, and that took 6 years. So most importantly, Martin professed to be good at ignoring the baying hordes at his door. When my work is going well, and no, it does not always go well, there's times of trouble. Nothing exists for me but the scene I am writing. Publishers, editors, deadlines, readers, fans, none of that matters in the least. All of it is gone. Only the characters exist, Martin said. Sometimes it's difficult to explain to the readers. So I'm going to paraphrase something he said last night, or not, in the interview with Anderson Cooper. He talked about the ending of Game of Thrones, and he said, listen, and this is basically him admitting his ending's going to be different. And he said, well, fans are going to argue about saying my ending's better or Dan and Dave's ending better. And that's all fine and good. That's what fans do. But the worst thing that can happen to an artist's work is that it gets ignored. Apathy. Well, this is going to get ignored. I still think, of course, people will watch the Game of Thrones prequel, but it will be less. I wouldn't be surprised if the final episode will probably have good ratings, but I bet you the ratings dip on the next episode. They had insane ratings for the first episode this year, but they dipped in the second. So they dipped quite a bit. They had 11 million overnight viewers to 9 million, I believe. All right. Let's get to the chat here. Brie of GoT. That's what I wish we didn't exist a bit more so you could finish. Honestly, I think you should just try to wrap it up in one book instead of doing two. Emmett Fitzhume. In other words, George R. Martin is a liar. Yeah. He can't stick to deadlines, and more importantly, nobody holds his feet to the fire about it. HBO, his publishers, or he just ignores it. And right now, I mean, he's the boss. He runs A Song of Ice and Fire, and he owns the property of Game of Thrones that is being adapted, and he can do it at his leisure. And listen, I don't really begrudge the guy for wanting to live his life later, but you know what? Then, man up and finish the damn book, or let somebody else come in who you trust. But to tell the fans, I'm just not going to finish, and to be that selfish, to take the book to the grave with, and I don't want him to die or anything like that. Yeah. And then people blaming fans. Fans took the time, took their hard-earned money and bought your book. Enough of them did that so you can buy a Robbie the Robot and have a nice house in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and get to go to whatever con you want. Please keep that in mind. Orange County screening of Avengers, half of the audience clapped while half audience laughed at girl power scene. My moderate liberal girlfriend groaned out loud, said Lubella. So where I was, there was clapping. And I heard some cheering. I groaned, and my son groaned. So it's bad, and we're gonna get more of that. Well, we got more of it in Game of Thrones, and we could certainly talk about Avengers Endgame. There's still a lot to talk about. I mean, unlike last night's Game of Thrones, I liked it. I thought, it was good. It wasn't the greatest Marvel cinematic MCU movie. I thought it's as good as a resolution as we could have got, especially when they're dealing with time travel. I kind of wish they hadn't have done that, but they did what they did. The Russo brothers did what they did, and I think I could at least walk away from this and feel like I don't really need to invest very much into it anymore, because this isn't my Marvel. Like this, it's clearly not the Marvel comics that I grew up loving. And no, I didn't get too old for it. It got purchased by Disney and changed drastically. So it's not like, oh, you're just old and it got just too modern for you, Gary. I was like, no, it got purchased by Disney and changed fundamentally. It became a different thing. It is not the Marvel comics. It is not Marvel comics anymore. It is Marvel Disney comics, with Marvel Disney values and politics and all that BS. It was strictly based on Stan and Jack Kirby, and it is nowhere near that anymore. I'll explain the best way to explain the difference between Marvel and Disney is in the cartoons. Marvel, Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Marvel. The Avengers cartoon that they canceled Earth's Mightiest Heroes for and replaced it with, Disney. Marvel, Spectacular Spider-Man, and Sony. Then Marvel the one I stopped watching because it was just god awful. The best thing I saw Disney do, and it wasn't even that great, was the Guardians of the Galaxy cartoon. But now that's the biggest difference. If you just look at the two Avengers cartoons, and that is the fundamental difference between Marvel and Disney Marvel, or the MC Briu, as we like to call it now. Thank you, Lou Bella. Tokyo Gaijin, 600 yen. Thank you. I agree with Doomcock as I do. The whole episode sucked. I can live with the Arya kill. I'll let you, but no matter, that's still better than STD. It is. And I could certainly live with the Arya kill in the books with a good build up. It doesn't, as a matter of fact, I didn't expect it to be Jon, but I expected them to fight. But I thought like Daenerys would take him out or somebody. I didn't think it would be Jon. But I thought Jon would fight him like man to man. So yeah, I agree with Doomcock. There was moments in the episode I liked when Drogon was flying away and he had all the whites on him. He was shaking off. And when Jon was running through Winterfell and there was just dead bodies raining down, I thought that was cool. I was like, that's pretty cool. When Arya was sneaking around in Winterfell, trying to avoid those two whites and being kind of the faceless man thing, I thought that was well done too. When we saw her little exposition battle, I thought that was well done. Everything else was pretty much crap. I couldn't see anything. Father Christopher Miller, $2. Wish Thor's roommate Daryl made an appearance. Yeah. And for Coulson not to make an appearance, I mean, I guess he's dead. I don't care. It's just dumb. Yeah, let's get back to the chat now. And everybody, thanks for coming in today. Sorry I was a little late, but I had to finish a video. And plus I was up really late doing the Exozone last night. Go check it out. Oh my God, there's like, I didn't even see that on that ad. There's like a naked butt right there. That's weird. It's better not be porn. Artemis over easy, Nerdrotic. How does Miguel Spotnik go from Battle of the Bastards greatness to this direct? Oh, dude, and Hardhome. I was singing that guy's praises. I'm like, this guy needs to direct features. He is freaking brilliant. I mean, Hardhome is brilliant. Brilliant television. The Battle of the Bastards is utterly beautiful. I mean, like that scene with Jon and the freaking, all here's the deal, Artemis over easy. It became utterly clear last night that Dan and Dave never were into the supernatural aspect of Game of Thrones. They've always had an aversion to it, and it really showed its ugly face last night. They just don't put in the work they need to for stuff they're not interested in. You could tell they weren't into the Sand Snakes. You can tell, and they put them in because they felt like they had to. And boy, did they suck. God, did they suck. They got, for one, it's a Game of Thrones, which has always been a pretty, I mean, despite last night, really well cast show. They cast great, except for the Sand Snakes again. And I know a lot of people like, I can't remember her name. The girl who played Colleen Wing and stuff. Girls, work out a little bit. You are the Sand Snakes. You're supposed to be these warriors running around the desert like snakes, and you look like you are going to the mall. Not like horribly out of shape, just not like toned up and like you, I don't know, live in medieval times where you don't eat all the time. Even if you're a royal family, for one, you're bastards and you fight all the time. Look like you fight all the time, because if you fight all the time, you're in shape. Nicholas Horton, Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes should have gotten a third season, and Spectacular Spider-Man was planned for 5 seasons and several straight to DVD specials. Nicholas Horton, Spectacular Spider-Man was great. I watch it all the time. It was so good. Bastards will be the best fight in the series. Yeah, because they were clearly more into it. Bradley Fortner, yes, I agree with you. Batman the Animated Series was the best cartoon of all time. Well, Fleischer Superman cartoons are pretty damn good too. Faith will be in the MCU, mark my words. I don't know if Faith will be, but they will have a body positive representation. They're gonna hit it all. They're gonna hit it all. They're gonna hit it all. It's gonna be the MPCU. Mark my words. They've been telling us pretty much every day now. Every single day now. They're like, we're going in this direction, and people are going, no. I'm just gonna wait and see. They're not gonna go woke. I mean, yeah, I know Captain Marvel is completely woke, and every actor's been talking woke, 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 and they basically emasculated Thor and the Hulk and Peter Quill. But I mean, like, yeah, they're not gonna no, and that Brie Larson's the face of the franchise, and they're gonna put her in 7 movies. And she talks about intersectional feminism, but no, they're gonna be fine. It's gonna be just like the same old MCU. Yeah, no. In my opinion, there is an aversion to the supernatural in the MCU as well. Mary Hyland, you are correct. It's like they are taking away anything that could be 100% supernatural. Do you know why? I will tell you why. There is a definitive answer to that question. Now, I don't know if it's true or not, but this is what I've heard is China. They have to there's certain things that are against the rules in China. Now, I don't know this for a fact. If John T. Net is around, he could tell me, but there are certain rules about magic or something you can't show. And that's why they haven't touched one of my favorite characters right here. Anything from the supernatural. I mean, they're not bringing in Ghost Rider, which is visually one of their most popular characters. You could do a whole thing, and then if you don't want to do it in the movies, do it in television. Then do the supernaturals. Get Brother Voodoo, get Ghost Rider, get the Man Thing, get Werewolf by Night, get Satana. Of course, the son of Satan. There is a lot of good supernatural stuff you could put in. David Rayner says Peter Jackson didn't like magic in Lord of the Rings, but they still used it. I mean, they didn't use it like a ton, but they also had they used ghosts. I mean, they had a lot of stuff. It was Lord of the Rings was completely satisfying. That is how you do it. Game of Thrones, drop the ball big time. And honestly, there's a lot of people out there who have been saying it for a long time. And listen, all the people who are detractors of Game of Thrones early on going, the show kind of meanders. It doesn't really do anything. They were all proven right last night. Every single one of them. So for the dumbasses right here who were defending that show, defending Game of Thrones, going, nope, it's going somewhere, man. It's really going to have a payoff. I can't wait. I love it taking its time to give us this really satisfying payoff. I am a sucker. The TV Ghost Rider, Ryan, no. Ghost Driver, no. I mean, I watched it because it's Ghost Driver, and I'll watch anything with Ghost Rider. I mean, it's certainly better than the movies quality wise. That you get a couple of little shots with actual Johnny Blaze, which are very cool, but otherwise, no. Marvel Dracula and Blade would be cool. It'd be so cool. Oh my God. Yes. You could have a supernatural team where you have Blade leading it. You put Blade in charge. God damn it. You get Wesley Snipes, man. You get Wesley Snipes. And if you don't get Wesley Snipes, and I'm forgetting his name, the guy who was in True Detective season 3, he was in Alita Battle Angel, and he was in Luke Cage. You know who I'm talking about? His look in Alita Battle Angel looked like Blade. I'm like, oh, he could be. And I mean, as much as I love Wesley, that the other guy's a better actor. He would be great as freaking Blade. And you have him lead a team, lead a supernatural team. And the key is that you got to find Ghost Rider, and we got to get Ghost Rider in the team. And come on. That'd be my favorite movie. But no, because yeah. Being able to fly is not doesn't fit supernatural, Warren Smith. That's a superpower. Supernatural is you get your powers imbued. For one, it brings in religious aspects. You get your powers imbued, it's angels, demons, ghosts, monsters. I can't pull it out now. I have a trade that I absolutely could show you everything I love from Marvel. That's my favorite thing from Marvel. That's why, I mean, when I saw this shirt, I bought like 3 of them. I love, the Son of Satan. I have the complete run. I like the weird Marvel stuff from the 70s. That is my jam. Okay. Jim Starlin, Warlock, Son of Satan. I own every Ghost Rider comic ever made, even the Silver Age cowboy ones. That is my jam. I love Bernie Wrightson, Swamp Thing, EC Comics. Actually, Jeff and I from World Class Bullshitters are probably going to do a podcast on EC Comics. We talked about it. Yes, thank you. Mahershala Ali as Blade. Okay. I want Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider. You can cast whoever the hell you want. The guy who would be a good Johnny Blaze. Is it? Here, I'll get his name right now. Give me just a second. Doing some unnecessary nerd casting right now. Oh boy. Not true. No, not Dead. Dean. Why am I blanking on it? Jensen Ackles, I think, would be a good Johnny Blaze. I think he would. Not Nicholas effing Cage. No, not listen, I like the movies for what they are, but he's an awful Johnny Blaze. Okay. Johnny Blaze, Jensen Ackles looks kind of like Johnny Blaze does to me anyway. You guys can cast whoever you want. I'm open to it. Scarlet Witch is actually a mutant. Yes, she is. David Stalker, $5. You're not the only satisfying ending sucker here, Gary. I even submit I'm worse. Rock on anyway. Thanks, man. Thanks, David. Yeah, I just, and now I get all these people in the Expanse, and I'm like, oh God, I hope that show doesn't do it to me either. And listen, the thing I do here is I cover a lot of news, but I cover television, and television requires commitment, which means you need to be good. That's why I'm almost I think I'm 4 now. Susan, the Old Coast, was talking about this. They're setting up a lot of TV series to be more cinematic, and they're setting them up to only be 3 seasons. Like, we're just going to definitively be 3 seasons. And if it's a mega hit, we'll do like another chapter of 3 seasons or something like that. I like that setup. I think that's really good. I was reading about Taboo. It's probably a show you never heard of. Taboo stars Tom Hardy, had 8 episodes 2 years ago. They haven't even started filming season 2. It's freaking brilliant. So it turns out they're planning it for 3 seasons. It's by the guy who does Peaky Blinders. But it's not going to finish until like 2023. Fine, I'll watch it. It was really, really good. It's got an ending to where you can watch the 1 season and not feel like you're left hanging. It's 8 episodes. It's got one of the best casts on television, and it's freaking Tom Hardy. In one of his better roles. Cardinal Sin, where did you get the Son of Satan t-shirt, Gary? Well, I got the first one. Thank you for the $1.99 super chat. I got them at my comic store. And then I got the first 2 at my comic store. Then I found one in a Ross Dress for Less. But I think you can probably find them on eBay. I imagine they are on eBay. Let's take a look. Because it's a damn good shirt. Oh, wow. You can't. Yeah, you might have to make one. Yeah, it's too bad. That's a cool shirt. All right. I got an Orb shirt too. You guys see me wear that? The villain from that I got at a comic store up in San Rafael. Tom Hardy and his father produced Taboo. That's right. The Nasruddin. That is right. Perth Comics. What is up? He says drink. The new Hellboy movie and 2016 Ghostbusters is Supernatural done bad. How bad was the new Hellboy movie? I didn't even go to see it. Okay, so Endgame paradox. If 2014 Thanos is killed in the present, how did the Guardians of the Galaxy come to be? There would be no fight for the Power Stone, no Care Bear stare to save Quill. Dr. Meatball, they they set up some of the worst rules for time travel I've ever seen in a narrative work. Okay, I just got to say that it doesn't make any sense. They don't have the grandfather paradox. Except when it's convenient, unless there's multiple timelines. Odin was talking about that in live stream. The only explanation for that is multiple timelines, which means that the Marvel universe did end with the snap. There's a world out there with that snap, and the one that they fixed is a complete different timeline. And then there's that plot hole that they're going to have to deal with for the rest of the MCU. There is no way you don't reference half the people of existence being gone for 5 years and coming back. That would be talked about the day they came back. There would be a holiday for it. It would take, for one, half the people go missing from the world. Half the animals go missing. Half of the living beings go missing from the planet. The planet would survive. Humanity would be effed, completely effed. You lost half your workforce. You lost half of everything that makes it go around. You just don't like make up for it. You know, it doesn't work that way. It was a weird thing. Rom the Space Knight will be awesome for a trilogy of movies or a series. The Lethal Diva, if done right, yes. You get a good writer on anything and it can work. The Hitchhiker's Guide rules to time travel simple. Will Gentry, very much so, very much so. How does that go again? I'm my own fourth cousin, twice removed. It was due to a contraceptive and a time. What was it? A time machine accident and a contraceptive. God, I can't remember it now. It's been so long. Hang on just a second. I got to get that quote right. I've only read that book like 35 times, so you think. Oh, give me just a second. Talk amongst yourselves. There we go. With Arthur Dan Zaphod semi-cousin Ford Prefect. It's a semi-cousin. It's a semi. Oh hell! I dropped my adrenaline pills. Freaking love Hitchhiker. Yes, it's a semi-cousin. It's not a full cousin, and it had something to do with a time machine and a contraceptive. That's all I know. Hitchhiker rules forever. Wish Thor. Yeah, okay, I already saw that. Let's get back to the chat here. Okay, folks. So question for the chat. Are you going to finish Game of Thrones? Are you going to finish the season? Or are you done? Just if you're going to finish the season, hit yes. And if you're not, hit no. I want to see how many people are just like, I'm out after this. I'm covering it for the show, for the channel. If I was not, I would be done. I would not. I don't care. My reviews will be very not care. I'll tell you that right now. You know what I feel like? I feel like I'm reviewing the end credits, and maybe yeah. You know, wow, Cersei. Who cares? Oh, but the articles are going to be written. Everybody, here they come. Cersei was the real villain, the strong women of Westeros. The fictional, made-up strong women played by women pretending to be strong women because they were written by men, by the way. Never started it, never cared. Ian Moon, smarter than me. Sure, I watched STD for God's sake, says Christopher Johnson. That's a great point. It's still better than Star Trek Discovery. Yeah. Now, yes. I'm not watching the next 2 weeks. Of course I am. Can't be worse than STD. That is true. It would be really hard to be worse than Star Trek Discovery. Absolutely. Yes, but sad. Yes. The only, because I've already paid for HBO Now this month. I'm finishing because I simply can't believe it would end this way, says Artemis over easy. Yes, since American God is over, and the Carnophage on, I think it's Thursday, I'm going to review, join me on Nerdrotic Live. I will be reviewing season 2 of American Gods. I wish I just couldn't stick with it episode by episode, but so far I like it. I got a couple episodes to go. No. Maggots 007, no. The Lethal Diva. Hasbro owns the rights to both Marvel and even edited ROM out of Hulk trade paperbacks. And that is such a Disney move. What's up, Robot Rob? Yes, I'm done with it. Hype level is down. Never seen it. Father Christopher Miller, good for you. Of course, we're going to watch the last episode, says Stanley. Yes, for the memes. I watch the episode 1 and never watch the rest. Yes. So yeah, no, quit ages ago. Yes, 3 episodes left. So it's a vast majority. Yes. We will see what happens. Maybe, just maybe. The Night King comes back, but I doubt it. And if he doesn't come back, yeah. STD jumps 950 years all the way to the year 2000. In the year 2000. It says KSS. Did you see Anti-Trucker's video earlier today? Kurtzman gets the goddamn math wrong. So he's all, yeah, we're jumping 950 years in the future to the 31st century. It's like, no. You're in the 23rd century, and that would be the 22nd century minimum. I don't know what the exact year is, but yeah, they were off by 100 years on their own show. But what the fuck? It just gets better and better and better. And boy, folks, if I gotta wait, I'm waiting for confirmation, but there is some shit going down at CBS right now. I will tell you this. We'll probably get a season 3 of Star Trek Discovery, but there is a chance. It is within the realm of possibility. I'll say right now, 5 to 10% that it could not happen. There is a chance it could get shut down. Star Trek Discovery, based on what I've heard. I don't think they will shut down Picard. They need Picard. CBS needs Picard, but they also need it to be good. And it's not going to be with Akiva Goldsman, and like I've said before. But if it's at 3 a.m. when I get confirmation, I will be telling you because it's crazy. So vast majority of the people, yes, are going to see. Michael Wolf says no. So we got yes. Major Grey Wolf, yes. Everybody's watching. Tokyo Gaijin says yes. I'll be honest with you. Yeah. So if I wasn't doing the channel, it would be a hard no for me. I'd be all, I don't care. Listen, folks, you're going to be just as disappointed. I'm going to be just as disappointed. I don't think they could disappoint me more. To be honest with you. Yeah, sure. Killed Daenerys and Jon. Second to last episode. I don't care. Gonna kill Tyrion. I'm pretty sure Tyrion's gonna die. Oh yeah, they feel like they need to kill Tyrion for some reason. It'll probably be some stupid ass reason, and I think that will piss the rest of the people off. Fondle that finger button. Fondle the lick the like button, as we like to say here. Have you seen Marvel Zombie? Have you read Marvel Zombies Volume 1? Says Magna Knight 2. Yes, and I like it a lot, by Robert Kirkman. I own the comics. And I like as an alternate story, it is a lot of fun and funny and good and everything right about a good short story that has nothing to do with the continuity. My second favorite, of course, is Ash versus the Marvel Zombies, which is good. What is your response to SJWs who say politics were always in comics over the years? Baptist 702. My response is they are confusing it with moral tales and allegory. So, and this is part of the narrative that's out there, Baptist 702, is if you are center or you are right, you're a Nazi. So when they are talking about politics, they're talking about comics were very anti-racism. So there are certain SGWs who are just under the assumption that they want to believe this narrative that everybody's racist. So if you're center or you're right, you're just friggin' racist. So if you are against politics being in comics, from their perspective, at least that's how they voice it out loud, is you're just a racist. Instead of like, no. And then you're backing up, you're backpedaling, you're always saying no. And it's used as a weapon. Now people just go, whatever. It used to bother people. Now it doesn't, because they've used the accusation too much. The girl who cried wolf. That's why I like to say. So my response is politics, comic books. Yes, they started political. Politics started racist, or not comics. And, but as far as personal one-sided politics always being in comics, I would tell them that I will just question how many comics they've read. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I've read a lot of comic books. And certainly I have caught references within these comic books. But I could also tell you that the Avengers, okay, I'll just pick a year. We'll say in the Avengers run, the main Avengers book in 1980, just pick a year, 86, probably had 7 political references that were really obvious. There might have been some subtle things by the writer that, a 16-year-old kid wouldn't have caught. I don't know, but I've reread the books and I've never found them that political. So I guess my definitive response, Baptist 702, is my politics have not changed in the last 2 years. So I've never really had a huge problem with anything until the last 2 or 3 years in comic books. Oh, and I would also respond that better people were writing, more talented writers were writing these comic books. So I was too involved in the story to be pulled out by, but the writing is just lame. Just completely lame. Kind of like last night on Game of Thrones. I don't know who will sit on the Iron Throne, but for sure D&D will have taken a shit on the Iron Throne. Yeah, I don't even care. It's like, okay. They're gonna subvert your expectations again. Graham Strauss, yes, the X-Men have always been an allegory for racism and for the LGBTQ plus community forever, or anybody who felt like an outsider. And that's why they have such mass appeal. But within the context of those books, the biggest difference is they never singled a certain group of people out, like SJWs and NPC dudes. They do. They single people out. They single a group of people out. They make broad assumptions about them that they know in their hearts are lies, but they continue with the narrative because it gets them social currency, which is more valuable than money to an SJW. Valor don't Margolis. Right. And Valor didn't Doharis. Twilight Zone is renewed at CBS All Access for season 2. Good. Make an A-Force movie. Give me 10 more seasons of Star Trek Discovery. F it. Bring it. That's hilarious. Where's all the talented writers? I think they were shown the door. A lot of them were shown the door. Currently at the Expanse, writing for Legion, writing Taboo. There's some out there. I think the talent pool is just completely watered down at this point. I'll DM it to you on Twitter because that's cheaper. Oh, do it. You can, yeah. Will Gentry, that's good. Thank you for the £2. Gotcha. Zaphod and I share 3 of the same mothers. That's right. Thank you, Cardinal Sin, $1.99. Will Gentry, Hitchhiker's Guide rules. Oh, no, I've already read that one. All right, there you go. Let's go. Graham Strauss. My favorite moment from the first X-Men movie was Wolverine and Rogue meeting up. Yep. And that is a relationship that they would not show in the films anymore. You will never get a Wolverine Rogue, Wolverine Jubilee relationship because it's way too patriarchal. Because he's kind of a father figure to them, but through that relationship, through that patriarchal relationship, it helps ground Wolverine, brings him back to his humanity. It's actually a really cool relationship, really well done. I preferred the one in the comics between him and Kitty Pryde, but of course in the cartoon there's Jubilee, and the cartoon is great. It's great, fucking one of the greatest cartoons ever made. I mean, certainly not as good as Batman the Animated Series, but I will not even argue. This is a fact. 10 years of owning a comic store. The X-Men cartoon made more comic fans than anything I've ever seen that wasn't just the comics themselves. The X-Men cartoon made an entire generation of kids of all makes, shapes, and sizes comic book fans. Why? Because they adapted the comic books. Not perfectly, but pretty damn close. And also the animation looked like the comic books. And it was really fun. And they you were able to do things like the Dark Phoenix and actually, satisfy comic book fans. It's possible. The Spider-Man animated series did the Secret Wars. It wasn't as good as the comic books. At least we got it though. It was cool. Maverick MX says, I'm one of them. Yeah, I can't tell you. I lost count of how many people go, I'm an X-Men fan because of the cartoon. What's up, Mary? How's it going? I grew up on that cartoon. Hell yeah. Rad Willie 1. John kills Danny. I read leaks because I don't care anymore. Oh, you got to tell me if that's a spoiler. I don't think John killed. No, John, that was on Reddit, but that leak has been completely disproven, unfortunately. No, I think Daenerys is on my death pool though. Rad Willie 1. Yeah, don't even if it's a super chat, please don't put spoilers for people who still care. Mark Lazert, the Jubilee and Logan. I know it's the best. I still blame the universities. They produce a generation of children with strange ideologies. They don't know struggles or the real world, says the Big Red Bear. That's part of it. Part of it's the parents, though, the parents who send them to the university. But yeah, that's, and I've told the story here. I basically told my kid, who was definitely smart enough to go, not to go. And it's not because I didn't want to pay for it. He would have had to pay part of it himself. But yeah, I just no, but my kid's got a good brain on his head and he's gonna go a different path. Good for him. I was already laughing my ass off and waiting for the stream at the Red Witch Firecraft in the beginning. I was not going negative. The train wreck was at the gate. I was not going in negative. The train wreck was at the gate. I was okay with her lighting because I thought we'd get some explanation, and I thought we would get. God damn it! Somebody's walking in front of my house, so my dogs are freaking out. And I thought we would get some kind of resolution, but the Dothraki going in and getting like just devoured, even though it was dumb. I got it. Hang on a second. Hang on. Sorry about that, folks. I'm back. And dogs are still going off. Didn't really help. Okay. We're out. Robert the Bruce. Thank you for the $1 donation. And let's get back to the chat. Doggo time. Yeah, the dogs are freaking out right now. Oh no, HBO is coming. Bring them on. I am totally okay. No, Mrs. Nerdrotic is home. So the dog started going nuts. Guy Incognito. So it's true. The night really is dark and full of terrors. It's full of errors. That was Ghost. Yeah. Well, if Ghost was like 2 little dogs and a chocolate lab mix, then it would be Ghost. The 1990s Spider-Man was good. Nicholas Horton. What's up, Nick? Futurama was so good. Yeah, it really was a good show. Who? The writer of Futurama is doing something that I like. I can't remember now. Arya is only one left and pregnant. Night King selling vacuums now. Did you like that? Yeah, it's the Night Kings. Oh God, get off my lawn. The only reason the flame swords, the swords, was so they can go out all for the looks and no explanation. You're right. You know what? You know why Hardhome worked and Battle of the Bastards worked as battles? They were shot during the day. They should have just shot the damn battle during the day. I know what they wanted to call it, the long night, but for all that, and the reason they did that was to hide stuff. That's why they crushed the blacks on this show. That's why it's shown that they're hiding the flaws in the sets, because they, for all the money they spend on it, they still, the effects last night were crap. There was one good scene. The Batman scene where the dragons go above the clouds. That was one good scene, but the dragons were like really far off. So, but when John was on the dragon, it looked awful. Darth Scipio said, "You're the luckiest man on earth. You live in San Francisco." You know what? I consider myself very lucky for growing up in San Diego. I liked it down there. San Francisco's cool. I mean, there's some really lame stuff here. God damn. Don't get me started on bike lanes. So they dedicated most of our streets to bike lanes now. So a bunch of the 2-lane streets have turned into 1-lane streets. And they did this for the environment. Problem is now there's twice as much traffic and cars idling and nobody riding bikes in the bike lane street. So what you have now is just nobody getting anywhere, cars idling, putting more crap in the air. And aside from Priuses and stuff, there's a crap load of freaking diesels being ridden around here. Audis and Jettas and crap like that. So there's more particulates, and it's Dummyville here. It's just freaking stupid. Our mayor partially won her election on proposing a human poop patrol that costs the taxpayers $60,000 to $70,000 a year. Yeah, San Francisco, awesome. The Night King ended with shit CGI. Graham Strauss, he did, and then he smiled at the end. He smiled when Daenerys couldn't Dracarys his ass. You mean people don't want to ride up huge hills all over San Francisco? I know, Stanley. The Dothraki men in the Outsolid were to buy them time. But the thing is, Marion, you're right. They didn't need the time. They could have just sent Jon and Danny had two dragons and no sign of the generals who Jon has seen before. It's kind of stay out of the way, because they don't really need to fight. And they could have just burned up dead people to begin with. The thing is, they shot it so dark because they needed to hide the special effects. And they took an extra year to tell us we're going to do the cinematic show, and we take an extra year. So far this season, we've had a bunch of people sitting around Winterfell and a battle in the dark that nobody could see. We got 3 more episodes left. I'm a simple man, says Wind Dancer Studio. The only thing I'd like about this episode was the only thing I didn't like about this episode was the lack of zombie mammoths. No zombie mammoths, no giants, no nothing. The scenes from previous episodes were shot better. They were more clear. Yeah, it was just better. Gary, I admit watching Avengers Endgame was 3 hours long. I managed to watch it all the way through and went to the restroom on time and to drain my bladder. There you go. I didn't. Hey, I had no problem making it through that movie. I can make it through a Doomcock live stream. I can make it through Avengers Endgame. Yeah, that's good. I didn't have many people getting up. 3 hours is nothing. I mean, yeah. The DJG show expected more from this episode. Yeah, listen, I can forgive bad shoot. Yes, I can. There's things I can forgive a badly directed episode shot too much in the dark and not hitting it out of the park on the battle scene. I could forgive all that if the story made sense. If okay, we got some technical issues and the dragon stuff was kind of crappy, but I got a good story, because that's the most important thing to me all the time. I watch Doctor Who. I watch regularly people in paper mache and tinfoil, and I like it because it's well written. I don't need great special effects. Star Trek Discovery, now the special effects in that sucked. The Orville supposedly doesn't have the most top-notch special effects in the world. I personally think they're great. The Orville, I enjoyed damn near every nanosecond of that show because it's a good story and I give a crap about the characters. Maybe we do need to kind of simplify stuff. Maybe we're just making it too complicated, too deep, and maybe we just need to dial it back and focus on the story and less on spectacle. Game of Thrones used to do that. If Doomcock keeps it 7 hours, I need at least one break. Well, honestly, if it was a 7-hour one, I'd need one for sure. Mazamonte for £2. Season 1-7 winter is coming. Season 8 is wait. Yep. Season or 7 episode 1. That's funny. Yeah. Or episode 7. Sorry. Yeah. Whoops. George Malo. Hey there. Hi there. Ho there, Gary. Whoa. $49.99 super chat. Thank you, my friend. What was up with the long night? Out of 14,605 possibilities to succeed, they picked the one way they fail. How did we get it? Zip, zero, zilch, nada, bupkis, an assassin school dropout is a Randy Aria. Ugh, right? Assassin school dropout. Go back to high school. Sorry, a little Grease reference there. George Mahalo, or Malo, Mahalo, George Malo. How's that sound? Yeah. And for some random reason, for any of you who were watching the Exozone last night, do you remember Squaw Snatch? Oh, it's a long story. Irate Pirate, and you can ride them in the motorcycles are the transport of the future, and you could ride them in the cycle lane. That's £2. I could call Mrs. Nerdrotic in here right now, and she'll tell you that I am not allowed to ride motorcycles. It is against the rules of the household. I'm a bit of a I'm a bit of a crazy driver. Did Bran even warg out? Should have been dynamic. North American Vikinger, thank you for the $2. He warged into some crows and flew into the snow. And he says, I have to go now. And then he comes back and watches Theon die and tells him he's a good man. Yeah. Oh, Cardinal Sin, $3.99. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to the resolution. Deadwood. He said, are you looking forward to the new Deadwood movie? Yes. I cannot wait. Cannot wait. Love me some Deadwood. Very good. Gary, what do you think of the upcoming Dark Phoenix? Robert the Bruce, $2. It looks like a remake of The Last Stand. I don't know, the last trailer looked a little better. It just, you know what it looks like to me? It looks like, well, just what I've got from the trailers, everybody going, this is all your fault, Charles. So it looks like there's some more, it's going to be anti-patriarchy, Charles Xavier. It's all his fault. And basically Last Stand. Why are they remaking The Last Stand? I have no idea. I mean, there's a reason I enjoyed that movie. I know it was complete ass, but we did a promo at the comic store. So I got to meet some actors and stuff from it. So I have kind of an attachment to that movie, and it was done in San Francisco, but I realized it's complete ass and like the worst thing to remake. And honestly, I loved the promise of Matthew Vaughn's X-Men, and then we just didn't get that, which sucks. Matthew Vaughn was supposed to direct X-Men The Last Stand. He's the genius who cast Kelsey Grammer as Beast, which was freaking great. And then he did a great, X-Men movie. I liked it, down in Cuba and stuff, but I still thought it was really good. I liked it. And for what it was, for Bryan Singer's stuff, I liked Days of Future Past, but I didn't like anything after that. But I think Fox was actually turning it around. Fox did a great job with Legion. It's a great show. And of course, Deadpool. I mean, Disney would not have produced Deadpool. And the first Deadpool movie is damn near a perfect movie. And I'm not even the biggest Deadpool fan from the comics, but I love the movie. Love it. Thanks again, Robert the Bruce. Let's go here. Speaking of last night's Exozone, did you guys ever check out the YouTube video talking about Gargoyle statue in Denver International Nerdrotic? The thing is absolutely insane. I've seen that, Dr. Meatball, and it is very weird. We'll talk about it next one. It's weekly, folks, by the way. And I think he's doing something during the week too, to do a super chat square up. Can't wait for Godzilla to rescue this spring. Jake H, I have not talked about that enough. Honestly, between John Wick 3 and Godzilla, those are the two movies I'm looking the most forward to in a very good way. I cannot wait. Godzilla looks great. I was a tiny bit disappointed by the first movie. I still enjoyed it overall, but I thought, I don't know. This one looks great. I can't wait. And hopefully it sets like a new trend and we start getting like big old monster movies and stuff. Classic Comics, $5. Poop Patrol. That was my favorite Doom Patrol episode. That might be the name of the next Doom Patrol episode. You never know. Classic Comics. Godzilla gone woke. Well, I mean, I think everything is in danger of going woke. Absolutely everything. I missed the last Exozone. Any way I can find it. It's on Doomcock's channel. Let me see if it's still there. Hang on. DVD. By the way, unsolicited advice to all collectors: sell your Game of Thrones stuff now. Sell it now, even despite this episode. Like, now's the time. We will be reaching peak Game of Thrones. I know some of the 1/6 scale stuff is worth some money, but it'll go down. It's only because of the hype. So now's a good time to sell. I'm going to be selling a bunch of my Game of Thrones stuff. I wonder, he probably put it. Where's his other channel? What's the Mary? Could you put up he has an alternative channel and it's probably on there. It's Harvey. Harvey Cthulhu. Yeah. I thought our Harvey had another channel. Why can't I find it now? But Mary, if you could find his second channel, that'd be great. Godzilla had gender reassignment surgery. Oh well, it's Godzilla. Not a bot. Jake Etch, greatest cartoon short ever, Godzilla versus Bambi. Absolutely. A classic. Let's be real. The Night King would have just sat back casting a blizzard and bring out your dead over till everyone was dead, including Bran. Scott Wemple, yes. They couldn't find a way narratively to give the creators of the show felt like they couldn't find a way to give Cersei an important enough exit that could measure up to the Night King. So what they decided to do narratively, and maybe this is George R. R. Martin's plan too, is kind of, make the Night King not as badass as he was before. So we could prop up Cersei as the big bad guy because it's 2019. That is clearly 100% behind the decision. Now, we'll never see the finish of the book. So I guess we'll never really know, will we? My opinion says that while Cersei was probably given a very satisfying ending, or the intention, George had that intention. There's no way of really knowing because he hasn't written the book yet. He told them an ending, but I don't think George intends on making Cersei a more powerful bad guy than the Night King, because she's not. Here, before we go. Okay. I'm going to go to, I love doing this on my videos, so I'm going to be doing this on my next video, but I'll give you guys a preview because, I love you guys. Anticlimactic. Causing disappointment at the end of an exciting or impressive series of events. Adjective. It was an anticlimactic finish to the match. The use of the word over time, I have a feeling it's going to spike up a little bit right here, right at about 2019. I would say around late April, the usage of this word is going to go up. Lacking climax, disappointing, or ironically insignificant following of impressive foreshadowing. After all the buildup, the ending of the story was anticlimactic, a letdown. There you go. I think that's the very definition of Game of Thrones. Subvert. The Gramoni diabetic. Yeah, subvert. I got a subvert for you. Got anticlimax. Yes. Well, like I said before, winter did not come at premature ejaculated. Well, it came, but a little too early. It missed the mark. All right. The little soldiers came out of their barracks a little bit too early. Sorry, Cobra Kai. Been playing too much Mortal Kombat. Tokyo Gaijin, it is okay. Cobra Kai, by the way, to part of the one of my videos, I'm going to share an email, a lovely email I was sent today, basically accusing me of crapping all over everything. And the only answer I have is, what would you have me do? I mean, I answer this. I asked this question knowing the answer, but like seriously, what would you have me do? So I watched Game of Thrones last night and I freaking hated it. So should I go on and say, "Oh, I loved it," and lie, or you can parse out the email, but it kind of insinuates that I go on the air and I fake this stuff. I like secretly enjoyed the Game of Thrones episode, but I was like raging just to get the clicks. No, there's easily enough crappy stuff out there to call out. I would listen. I listened to Doomcock. Listen to me last night, right when we're off the air. I did not want to. I was expecting to go, man. Those first 2 episodes, I had my problems with them. I did like some part, and I did. I definitely liked, Brienne getting freaking knighted and everything. And if it was a good battle, like Battle of the Bastards, we would be all praising it today. If it was 3/4 as good as Battle of the Bastards, we would be singing the praises of Game of Thrones today. But it wasn't. I'm not going to lie to you, people. It sucked. Whether people accept that now or later, or if people are just okay, if you're a Game of Thrones fan for the shipping and Tormene and stuff like that, fine. But if you're a book fan and you're seriously invested in the show and you bought collectibles and you watch the show over and over again, you got all the physical media. Right now, I feel like a total sucker, and I'm putting all of it on eBay. It's all gone. It's leaving my house because I'm not going to watch it again. I'm going to finish the series. Done. I'm not going to waste another second on this. Now, the books I'm going to stick with. I'm going to read the books, of course. I like the books a lot. This doesn't affect my enjoyment of the books, even though I might know the ending and it might be spoiled, but honestly, I might not be getting one. So, yeah. Cobra Kai, though, to dial that all the way back, is really good. Is really, really good. The Orville is really good. So far, The Expanse is really good. Go and watch that. Get Amazon Prime. Good Omens is coming out May 31st. That looks really good. American Gods, pretty good. The Battle of the Bastards is in another castle. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Well, it was yes. But if it was 3/4, but what I was saying is that the Battle of Bastards was as good quality wise. Gary, you are not alone. The episode was utter garbage. As a huge fan, I was left feeling really disappointed. It was another example of TV ruining something beautiful. Yeah, and current year politics ruining stuff, egos. There's books could be written about this on like what ruined Game of Thrones. Well, Dan and Dave's ego, George R. R. Martin's lack of discipline. You know what? You know who? These guys don't care. Dan and Dave got paid. George R. R. Martin's getting paid. Those actors got paid. So their time was well spent. You, the viewer, me, the viewer, my time was wasted, and I paid for that. So yeah. So people, if anybody out there has a problem with me voicing my opinion about this, well, go somewhere else. Bye. I mean, it's fine that you have a problem with, but don't come here on my channel and tell me that I should you're just crapping on everything. Well, maybe everything shouldn't be crap. And I liked Avengers Endgame. I did. I liked Cobra Kai. So out of the last 2 weeks, Star Trek Discovery was hot garbage and definitely worse than Game of Thrones. Don't get me wrong. Game of Thrones was bad last night, but it's not as bad as Star Trek Discovery. But Orville was good. Cobra Kai was good. And Avengers Endgame was mostly good. But I think people with the Endgame are confusing my distaste for what's coming with distaste for Endgame. Okay. George, oh man, thanks George Malo for $14.99. Game of Thrones directors followed in the footsteps of the king of subversion, perversion, Rian Johnson's school of F the fans. By the way, easy to remember to say malo, like balo. Okay, malo, like balo. Oh, gotcha, malo. The H is silent. Thank you very much. Zelda meme noob. Duh. Okay, well, I don't know Zelda. I'm a noob. I don't. The only thing you want to know what I know about Zelda, the very first commercial, or was it the second? Zelda. That's it. That is my knowledge of Zelda. Was the '80s commercial, and my kid liked it. Kia Tagger for Canadian $5. I used to be a huge Doctor Who fan. Well, I used to be until the new season. Watching your videos made me feel like I was not alone. Kia, thank you. Same here. And I am so not done with Doctor Who. So not done. Echo Base Network. Thank you, Kia. I greatly appreciate it. And I'm glad we found each other. There you go. Echo Base Network, $4.99. Exozone episode is unlisted here. So my Exozone is on Nerdrotic Live. No, it was on Doomcock's channel last night. So he put it on his alternative channel, which is Harvey Cthulhu. Mary, could you find that link? If not, Nicholas, I'll DM it to you. Okay. I'm sure if you ask Doomcock, he'll send it to you. After hearing your thoughts last night and Angry Joe's rant today, I totally see your points on last night's Game of Thrones episode. Thank you. Also, Angry Joe got angry about it. I'm gonna have to watch that now. Yeah, that was like I said, I could have forgiven all the quality aspects of it if they had done something that made narrative sense. Killing the Night King makes no narrative sense. You built him up to basically make him an ice cube that got picked by Arya. And yeah, she came in and believe me, that is such a memeable scene. It really is. All right, folks. It's 5:23. We're gonna call it evening because I started so damn late today. And I will be back next Wednesday for the Nerdrotic Nooner. And I'll probably do Cobra Kai review tomorrow night on Nerdrotic Live. And there's a Patreon nooner tomorrow if you're a member of Patreon. And yeah, we're gonna have there'll be lots of live streams. I'm gonna be doing a Game of Thrones video, which is pretty much just a rant. That's coming out later tonight. Already many memes. As a matter of fact, I will look those up for my video, the DJD show. So Mark Lazarth, DJD show, Artemis over Ease Me. Was Brienne playing Captain Phasma last night, or was that me? Yes, she was. Completely uneventful and basically useless for some reason. You guys, before I go, do you realize that Brienne of Tarth hasn't really been in a battle? We have been waiting to see this awesome warrior who defeated the Hound be in a legit battle. She might have been in a little one. I honestly can't remember. Was she in one in season 7? But this was like her big chance to shine, to be, she was commanding forces. And I think I saw her once or twice. I couldn't freaking see anything. And that is pretty much what's going on. So they do all the surface level shit. Okay. They go out and they go, we're, obviously, it almost seems like HBO is trying to end this because there's just because it's too problematic. There's too many white people. There's not enough women in charge. So they just want to get the fuck rid of this show. So they announced Brienne as commanding forces and Jamie is working for her. And the only fucking Northern Lord they show is a little 16-year-old girl. They don't show Wyman Manderley or, the Umber kid, the boy got killed. But guess what? They showed the Karstark girl with Theon fighting. Where are all the other Northern Lords? There's lots of them. There's Howland Reed. There's Wyman Manderley. Like I said, where the F are they? No, they purposely killed the narrative to make up with this stupid shit at the end. And they get what they get now. I don't want to hear any blaming fans or fucking whining that fans are upset because you wasted a bunch of people's times. Of course they're going to be fucking upset. And they freaking wasted they spent a bunch of money. They spent 10 years, HBO subscriptions, hype. And then freaking Ryan Johnson comes out and tweets out, oh, I had like the best Night King theory, which was smacking the fans again, and the Game of Thrones fans and the Star Wars fans clowning you. Honestly, I almost hate to say this, but maybe somebody should have kicked that guy's ass in high school. It might have done him a bit of good. Yeah, there's part of my rant from the video. So that's where we're going to end right there. I'm sorry to report Game of Thrones sucked. So everybody have a great day. I wish I would have talked about the Orville more. I do have another Orville video come out. Check out the one I've got. Some news. If you guys didn't see it, Scott Grimes had to cancel a convention last weekend to do some work on the Orville after the season. So it could be special features. It could be I don't know. But yeah, there's some big news. You know, Seth is going to be a free agent soon, and that might be delaying the Orville. I suspect either the Fox is going to have to pay him a lot of money, or he's going to end up going to freaking Apple or Netflix or, you know, Amazon, and maybe the Orville goes there. Maybe we have to wait an extra year, but yeah. All right, everybody, have a great night. Go to nerdrotic.com for my live stream schedule. I will see you all soon. Thank you for coming in. I do truly appreciate you guys. Whether you love Game of Thrones or not, may the small folks sing songs of your greatness.